начнет сразу, как только получим управление, после вот этого скримера. Все, поехали. В общем-то, мы играем из Атаси, она хочет найти своего ребенка, мы упали в авиакатастрофе, и, в общем-то, сейчас вот секция с видениями, заставками, и, по идее, мы должны идти в пещерку тут, исследовать локацию, чтобы выбраться, и все такое, но, к сожалению, у этой игры есть замечательная механика таскания предметов, и как только мы выберемся, мы увидим свойственное амнезии хождение в ООБ, но только немного по-особому.
Help you out there. We're going to pick up some laudanum, throw it back to Amnesia: The Dark Descent. This is the third Amnesia in the series. There's The Dark Descent, A Machine for Pigs, and Rebirth. Here we have the bunker coming out in just a few days, actually. Pretty stoked about
Ну
that.
как, амнезия?
This is the second one actually
Полет.
developed by Rockstar Games.
Тут будут лучше. Все намного лучше. Я просто основной плот рассказал, потому что по сюжету игры мы не пойдем. Из-за того, что сейчас у нас обязательная секция обучения, которую мы не можем скипнуть, к сожалению. Поэтому вот этот вот мигающий журнал наш будет мигать, пока мы его не возьмем, и все такое. Мы, как только выйдем из самолета, начнется самое интересное. Вот мы берем спас-жилет, потому что это очень важно. Это крайне важная вещь, потому что мы упали в авиакрушении, и нам срочно нужно спасаться. Поэтому мы берем спас-жилет и начинаем спасаться. В общем-то, большая часть рана будет проходить с помощью спас-жилетов, коробок и прочих прекрасных вещей с выходом в ООБ. В общем-то, это называется реграб глич, потому что мы его располагаем в нашем хитбоксе и бесконечно хватаем. Из-за этого у него появляется такая условная коллизия, с помощью которой мы можем немножко пройти. Да, спас-жилеты всегда использовались неправильно. О, да. В общем-то, здесь основными остановщиками нас от дальнейших полетов являются триггеры катсцен, пещеры и прочее, что требует именно прохождения обычным путем, и места, куда мы не можем протащить что-то ценное. Вот у нас уже воспоминания о ребенке идут. В общем-то, долго сюжет не держится, так же, как и игра. Поэтому основной метод передвижения у нас зачастую будут прыжки, потому что в моменты, когда главная героиня начинает воспоминания, флешбеки, видения, etc., она замедляется очень сильно, на прыжки как бы быстрее, чем ходьба. Сразу берем как бы подушечку. And this is one that I'm sure Enigma on the hosting station is going to absolutely love because it's one of my favorites, and it's I'm sure something he can appreciate as a fan of the. И вот тут вот спокойненько вылетаем за текстурки. В общем-то, большая часть рана пройдет вот так. В первой, кстати, по-моему, не было ног. Я вот не помню точно. Они, по-моему, в этой появились. Right here, we're gonna re-grab it so it pushes us through the wall. All right, the game ate the pillow, so we do the backup strat. We stand here and fall off into the void. In their older titles, in a lot of games, you fall into the void and either like void out or die or whatever it may be. In this game, it's really cool. It actually like warps you back to the last spot you were standing. So we use a combination of just standing in the right spot and falling into the void to clip back in. This is the Traveler's Locket or Amulet. It's a passage between worlds, which is something we'll get into here in just a second. So we can open up these little rifts.
to a mysterious, spooky place. So if you've played the Amnesia games, you may have heard of the Other World or even like orbs and all of this fun stuff. It's a big part the Dark Descent. It comes back in this game and they really expand upon it, which is really, really cool. In fact, we're going there right now. It's going to get really dark, and not just because of that's the
И,
Other World. Just gonna go out
блин,
to
я
the
даже не
right.
успел. В
Right here,
общем-то,
instead of
вот
just
тут вываливаемся в ООП и через
damage, we can open up to
текстуры.
it like
Тут
that.
вообще никакого навыка не надо. Некоторые это делали случайно. Например, я в своем прохождении я тут же провалился случайно, просто прыгнув в
Underneath it now,
стену.
we're not playing through the level normally,
Такое,
obviously.
такое бывает.
So we're bypassing triggers that would spawn in like lighting and textures and all this stuff. So we
В
just have to
общем-то,
navigate
здесь
this entire map.
мы идем в бесконечную темноту, потому что мы пропускаем триггеры, которые запускают освещение, прогрузку некоторых объектов и так далее, потому что у нас получается отсутствие этого триггера позволяет пройти через некоторые вещи, которые закрыты условной загадкой, пробежать мимо всего этого, но, к сожалению, это приходится делать без света, поэтому темно.
Go on Steam, right-click it, go into the properties, check the beta tab, and you can actually just download the speedrun branch of the game. So it's really, really cool and awesome for them.
Вот сейчас, кстати, Раннер рассказывает о функции Steam, о том, что вы можете зайти как бы в бета-версии и взять, загрузить первую версию игры. То есть ее даже не надо даунпатчить. When the bunker drops on the 6th, you know, assuming no more delays, that is something we will definitely be looking into on my stream. I'll be playing casually and going about breaking it for sure. We're going to climb this mountain. В общем-то, Раннер говорит, что ожидает бункера, Амнезия бункер, потому что сначала он поиграет в нее казуально, а потом будет ломать. Вот тут вот путь чисто на ощущениях, надо знать, где и сколько идти, чтобы попасть в правильное место и не умереть от падения.
There is one problem at the end of this map, which I may have hit. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's a small little gap if you drop right in. You can't quite get out of. Okay, we are actually, unfortunately, going to have to redo this map. That is perfectly fine, because I've been talking a lot, and I want to give Adigma a chance to read your donations, so take it away.
В общем-то, все идет по плану. Делоут. Сейчас быстренько пробежим, как говорится, все основные места за часик. И будет еще интереснее игра.
Nobody does.
We've got $100 from Gears, who says, hello, chefs. Thank you for another wonderful GDQ. It is always an honor to draw alongside the amazing runs and enjoying the memes, the fun, and the positivity.
Прекрасный ран, все вот будет в глубокой темноте.
I followed the dev streams for a year now. You don't want to miss out on the new levels a Grumpy Fox created for SGDQ. Stay awesome. Less than 3.
Сейчас у ГДК 3 часа ночи, так что это graveyard shift в какой-то степени. Поэтому такие perpetual раны неспешные.
Our whole goal is to try to make our way back to Paris eventually. We've got a little bit more running to do, so you've got some more donations.
Oh, yes, we do. We have $50 from Slowest Poke, who says, greetings from Germany and shout out to everyone on the night shift at GDQ. I hope you remember to stay hydrated. You are doing great. Donation goes to the Lunistis Character Map Showcase. And by the way, we've had a few donations.
Вот такой вот ночной ран у них получается.
$5,000. We're currently at $2,800, so about $2,200 left on that one.
Oh, just 5,000.
По большей части здесь рассказывать нечего, потому что все гличи вы уже увидели. Единственное, что отличается в сложности исполнения, то, что ран бежит по коллизиям.
Just so that doesn't happen again, we will just do like a little quick safety save here. Unfortunately, there's not a quick save, so we have to go back to the menu and come back in, but that should be no big deal. So a fun thing about the other world here, as it's kind of known, is time passes very differently, as we'll see once we get into not quite the next map, but
Вот сейчас мы снова сделали загрузку, но, как видите, игра не пофиксилась, потому что С точки зрения игры-то мы в правильных координатах и в правильном месте, но триггеры-то мы не можем задеть уже сюжетно. И все,
So 'cause you can't quite
придется в
see
темноте ходить.
where you're going. You need to be able to get over this small little
Вот
ledge.
сейчас раннер периодически перезаходит, потому что ему нужно найти правильный спот.
Yeah, as BT was saying, he missed a lot of the triggers that loads all the lighting and textures, so he effectively has to do a little bit of blind movement to find where he's going.
Он сейчас вот просто с большим трудом ориентируется в том, куда ему идти, потому что не прогружается большая часть текстур и прочего.
Like the exit is like two small little things over here. All right, we got through that time. We can hear the aim light going off. We're getting
Yeah.
closer, and then we're just gonna magically start falling here. There's some stuff going on, and now we're kind of going in between our world. Well, we're from the other world back to our world, and we go through these very strange dream sequences, which
Вот он
go back
русский.
and they kind of tie
В моей
into
справке
the
2
stories
МДФЛ
that
заработал
now
на русский, будет
together.
надпись «Выплачено 0 пузыриков».
Glimpse at Tassie's apartment here, and this is a prop clip we get to do, which is a super fun time. Kind of like we were trying to do with the pillow. We just re-grab the prop, and if we're not trying to do an object hover, the game doesn't want us to be intersecting with a prop, so it looks for the quickest way to eject us from being in the prop's collision. And typically, with the way we set it up, is just to send us through whatever we're standing against. We just clip right through the door. So this is Elise. Unfortunately, the story before the game starts is Tassie, who is married to Salim, have a child known as Elise, who does pass away due to a unknown illness, a disease, and now there's a giant baby in the sky, which is kind of weird. But who would have guessed a game called Rebirth deals with babies? And this kind of ties into what's going on here in the secondary story, the one that happens like after the events of the plane crash. Quick little flashbang.
В общем-то, сейчас раннер пересказывает сюжет.
So as I was mentioning, time moves differently. In The Dark Descent, Daniel mentions being in a very strange place for a mere moment, just very, very quickly. But when he comes back, he's been told it's been hours. So we just spent a lot of time in the other world. And now a lot of time has passed. And it turns out Tassie is once again pregnant. And she's about to experience a whole lot of emotions very quickly. Unfortunately, we now have to go through the dark. We don't have a lot of great light sources at the moment. We have some matches. Insanity, for the most part, in the other two Amnesias is not a huge thing, especially in speedruns. It doesn't really affect much. It kind of changes the atmosphere and what's going on. In this game, it does matter. It can give you a fail state, which is very, very slow. It will send you back.
Вот здесь вот Ран рассказывает о том, что безумие в первых двух частях не очень-то критично для Рана, потому что оно ни на что для Рана не влияет. Здесь же оно может дать вам состояние, в котором вы будете двигаться медленнее, поэтому это очень плохо. Из-за чего в рауте очень выгодно, что мы не идем по многим триггерам, которые заставляют его потерять. Коруда out of bounds. Выход за границы. То есть ООБ это out of bounds, выход за границы экрана. Ну, игрового экрана, если быть точным, потому что выход за эти границы позволяет условно проходить уровень так, как разработчики не задумали. Но здесь, как видите, и крышки позволяют. Ой, замечательные гличи. Вот здесь вот нашли замечательный выход и хватаем триггер сквозь текстуры с кайфом.
And over time, you see like the disease setting in, and Tassie and Salim's processing of that. We get a new mechanic here, which is kind of an interesting. It goes back to sanity. Sometimes we get a check on our baby by pressing X, just a little tap there, known as the baby check. That's supposed to be a way to restore your sanity if it gets low at all. There are some points in time when the game forces you to do those baby checks, and typically it is faster just to immediately do that and then leave it instead of sitting through the whole sequence. We're going to grab this rock and do another prop fly. This one's a little scary because not all props are made equally. This one's a little shaky, as you can see. It's just freaking out below us. The different sizes and shapes of the object do determine how safe it is to do a fly. This one's okay, as long as we don't go into that void, that little ravine there. We are perfectly fine. We're making our way to the fort, which is, I think, the coolest area of this game. I'm a big fan of the fort. It is very reminiscent of their older titles. It has a lot of
Вот
physics
эта
puzzles.
локация, кстати, самая лучшая во всей игре, по моему мнению, вот эта крепость, потому что в ней,
Two different areas
не знаю,
connected by
больше всего как-то дух прошлых локаций сохранен. Я не знаю, как это описать. Хоть тут ярко и все такое, но ощущается она как-то иначе, в отличие от основного места.
Objective is to get to a mountain village where a doctor resides. He is another survivor of the Cassandra plane crash, and we're just eventually trying to make our way there.
Ну тут я не сказал бы, что странная по истории Амнезии игра, потому что сценарист другой. То есть человек, который делал оригинальный сценарий, в процессе участвовал опосредованно. То есть
Bypass all this
выход в этот за текстуры с помощью проталкивания через объекты — это классика для амнезии.
by a ghoul, which is one of
Ничего особо сложного нет.
But instead of
Оу.
leaving,
Вот это, кстати, было опасно, могли в войд
we
упасть.
need a little bit of saltpeter and we're out. There are three things we need to grab: saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal. We get one here, and we get two in the other section, so we can make gunpowder for the shell. And we're gonna try to stack a flashback with opening this door. If you're in a
Не
flashback
знаю, вот
sequence, you move slower, and you can't really
в этой части по мне так очень сильно атмосфера все-таки просела, потому что
Gray flash means we're in the flashback.
идея основной амнезии, вот самой первой, которую она привнесла в индустрию, они уже немного потеряны. Именно немного потеряны, потому что их стали использовать все. В этом нет ничего особенного, а в исполнении больше нет того духа, который был в первой части, вот по мне так. Именно такой вот глубинного страха, потому что в основном здесь появляются уже скримеры в изобилии и все такое. Вот здесь, кстати, мы сломали стену с стороны, с которой мы ее должны были сломать, обойдя всю эту локацию, но можно просто схватить мешок и аккуратно его протащить туда. Очень удобно, кстати. В общем-то, вот эти вот вещи как-то немного расстроили меня. Ну и сюжет очень сильно задел.
So while that's still cooking up, we're just going to go ahead and open this door. Should be done any second now. Went a little too fast. All right. Let's combine all of our ingredients, get the gunpowder, make the shell, and press it. Okay.
В общем-то, обычная загадка, где мы сделали один снаряд.
This tank shell. It's actually not supposed to open the gate at all. The level trigger for this area to be over is climbing out of this tank once you've fired the shell. So
Вот здесь важный момент, что не важно, куда мы выстрелим из танка. Вообще не важно, потому что финальный триггер — это то, что мы сделали выстрел.
and end level.
Ну вот, в общем-то, ответ почему. Да, бункер. И мне кажется, бункер будет как-то таким тоже немного потерянным. Сейчас очень сложно сделать игру, которая будет использовать идеи первой амнезии, чтобы она не казалась посредственной. Из-за того, что первая амнезия у большинства людей, которые в нее играли, вызывает теплые воспоминания, хотя ну, столько бреда по типу «собери кислоту из молока, пачки маргарина и атомные бомбы, которые лежат в разных местах повсюду, ты бегаешь, собираешь и все такое». Непонятно, почему там сюжетно монстров столько ходит, то ли их создавали, то их не создавали. Сюжет очень размытый, но в целом она была первой, собственно говоря, в своем деле, и отлично поддерживает атмосферу именно пугающую из-за того, что монстров там не так много, достают тебя не так часто и все такое. Так что бункер, скорее всего, будет беготня с пистолетиком, фонариком и заливкой масла. Надеюсь, я не прав. Снова протискиваемся в ООБ с помощью канистры. Момент с водой, кстати, в первой хорош был,
Right at
да.
the end of the map, pull this giant paperclip out of the rocks, and that will trigger us to start swimming it down into the next map, known as the Oasis. Got a little baby check at the start, so we're just gonna hit that and then do some parkour. So some
В
more
целом
patience.
атмосферу первую сложно передать, потому что там последовательное наращивание страха. Поначалу ты думаешь, что ты в каком-то непонятном особняке заброшенном, и здесь ничего нет.
I see what you
А
did
потом
there.
ты такой понимаешь, что у тебя все-таки какая-то странная дичь происходит в этом месте. И ты все больше и больше напрягаешься, и как бы понимаешь, что оружия тут нет. Такие проблемы начинаются. Ты больше осознаешь, почему ты принял зелье амнезии.
Got time for
То
those two
есть
more.
как-то вот хорошо все сочетается. Мы, кстати, сейчас перепрыгнули специально через вот такое место, чтобы сюжетные триггеры не задеть. И бежим дальше. Ну, в скобы... как бежим? Прыгаем. Это важно. В общем-то, в этой части вот наглядный пример, почему у него плохо с атмосферой.
It is also permadeath, so if you make a
Вот
mistake, you have to start all over again. Very
она
interesting
выглядит
for
так,
guys.
как будто
Do some
бы
parkour out of bounds here.
это солнечное место какое-то,
Especially climbing these
и
rocks.
поэтому ей приходится пугать
Here soon we're gonna
именно
see a
скримерами
movement
зачастую, из-за
ability
того,
bump
что
up into the map right
ты
there. So that's
часто
the blue light we
из
saw earlier.
темных
That is
локаций в
after
светлые
introduction
попадаешь, и
of
это не
a
какой-то
entity known
контрастный
as the
переход, это
Empress.
становится
This is
обыденностью.
the
Вот здесь, кстати, мы
ruler of
дальше
the
идем в
otherworlds.
ООБ, и это очень
The
опасное место,
Oasis
потому
is
что
also
если
a
мы
big
здесь
plot
умрем,
point
нам
for
придется переделать
Tassie's
весь
story
сетап.
prior to us waking up after the plane wreckage. This is where the Empress shows up and takes a very strong interest in Tassie, because it turns out the Empress, despite being the ruler of the other world, is also barren and wants an heir. So she sees that Tassie has an unborn child and says, hey, I can heal you. I can heal everyone that survived the plane wreck and make sure that you make it home safely, but in exchange, you have to give me your child. So the big question and like the thing
Ну
Functional
вот,
Games kind of wants you to take away
пересказ
from
сюжета
is
идет
essentially
дальше.
the trolley problem. Would you give up your child for, everyone you care about, your husband, your friends, your coworkers, or would you choose your child? We're gonna get a sick boost off these rocks. It's a pretty fun thing to do. Or would you save your child? And Tassie makes the choice to save her child, having just lost one not too long ago. And that's why everyone else that we've encountered so far and that we kind of run into has
В общем-то,
either
здесь она
died or is
встречает
in the
членов
process of becoming
экспедиции
one
по
of the
сюжету.
heroes.
Но смысл в том, что она отдала ребенка за то,
Right through here,
чтобы
we're gonna slip back into the underworld.
выжить, если кратко. И вот сейчас ее настигает как бы проблемы.
So it's very important, like I said earlier, like if the game forces you to do one of these baby checks to do your sanity, you want to do it as soon as possible. So you see like the blue flash, check the baby and run off. Otherwise, you do have to sit through like a 15-second little dialogue there. I'm not sure why just checking it and running off works, but it's definitely something you want to do. So in this area known as the Alchemist Lab, we were introduced to these little pylon connectors that Nerd Squared can talk about as I do some clips.
Что самое интересное, кстати, в казуальном прохождении от количества смертей зависит один из вариантов концовки. То есть, если пройти без смертей, там более оптимистичный вариант. Доэдрическое святилище, да-да-да. Искусственный растян. Игра, кстати, немного, да, возможно.
So the orb is also a very prevalent
Просто
thing
вот начинается
in
вторая
the
половина игры,
lore,
которая, по мне, так максимально потеряна
have it in their
относительно
lore as well. There are
сюжета
many orbs
первых
in
амнезий,
the otherworld.
потому что она пытается объяснить то, что объяснять бы не следовало,
Which we're gonna grab some
из-за
other
чего
sources.
теряется
These
как бы
little
мистический
batteries
аспект.
that we will mention in just a moment. You're supposed to use both these batteries to activate a little prototype teleporter to solve a puzzle here. We're going to keep both of these because they're going to be really useful later on. It doesn't look like a whole lot's going on in this map, just some collection and then clipping through. But this is setting up a very, very big skip later on. Actually, two very big skips later on. So it's very important we grab those. And then we have another fun dream sequence where we get a connection between, once again, the two different stories going on here. But yeah, the orbs are great sources of power. They're also guarded by what's known as the Shadow, which, once again, if you played the Dark Descent, is a like pink, gooey, fleshy, moist thing that chases you down and is always stalking you, trying to get that orb back. And now that we have an orb of our own, it kind of happens in this game as well. So we got a baby back there, we got Elise here, and we got some donations from Enigma, I'm sure.
Oh, we sure do. We have $20 from Biddy, who says
Необъяснимое, неописуемое. Да, необъяснимое, неописуемое работает лучше, чем какие-то двимерские механизмы. Ну, потому что если у них есть дома, и они где-то живут, почему в эти дома и где они живут нельзя перенести ядерную бомбу? Все просто. Поэтому необъяснимое, неописуемое, такое недоступное для восприятия человека гораздо проще сводится к тому, что ты веришь тому, что происходит, потому что здесь нам нужна твоя дочь. Зачем? Почему? Непонятно, но нужна. Ну, собственно говоря, игра вот в спидране, даже если бежать, занимает час ОБ и прочим, а сюжета здесь довольно-таки мало, потому что он пытается описать неописуемое.
All right, once this loads in, we're going to be in a very interesting map, for sure. One of the weirdest...
Потому что у нее своей не было, да. Логично.
Time passes in a much different manner. So Tassie is now much more pregnant than she was before. She's going through 9 months of pregnancy in like a day's time, which I'm sure is just the least fun experience you could ever have. This is supposed to be a giant chase sequence with the Shadow we were mentioning before. But that's pretty slow, and there's a lot of just winding paths to take.
В общем-то, здесь по казуальному пути нас должна преследовать тень. Мы должны спрятаться, убегать. В общем-то, это сложно и скучно, поэтому у нас все немного более комплексно будет. Мы просто клипаемся и забираем крышечку, которую себе оставили. Раннер сохраняется на всякий случай. Если что, это не надо делать в ране, это делается для безопасности рана на марафоне, чтобы коленные чашечки сохранить.
Thankfully, we have the lantern, which we'll pull out here in just a second if I didn't already. Okay, it is out. All right, so now we're just going to go for a little bit of
И
a
полетели.
This plate likes to stick behind. So you can see all the different paths you got to take. You run to the left. You can just...
Ну вот, вы видите, вот все вот эти вот пути сверху, это вот все, что надо было бы в казуальном пути пробежать, как обычно. Но в ране этого нет, благо ран хороший.
Well, Sanity, if we got hit by it here, it wouldn't necessarily kill us. If that happens, it makes you drop the prop entirely, so we just fall into the void, which is definitely not something we want. We don't want to use it.
Идеально
So we're
долетели.
going to put the lantern away, and now we're into an area that has a much bigger teleporter. We saw like a prototype for it you're supposed to fix before, but now we see the real one.
Ну, сейчас мы увидим, кстати, здоровый телепорт, который строили, наконец построили. Вот, нормальный телепорт, не тот прототип, а настоящий такой, хороший.
Have caught is you actually see the plane wreckage. So it's probably how Tassie gets back to the plane wreckage at the very beginning of the game instead of having to actually walk all the way back. So we're gonna give up the orb. I'm sorry. We gotta leave it behind. We're gonna do a fun little jump up the slope. Saves like a second of climbing a ladder. And go into the next area. Next area is on.
Вот здесь, кстати, маленький скип был с тем, как он запрыгнул, потому что по лестнице на секунду дольше.
that's much like a flashback. We're going to walk slow, we can't jump, we can't interact with stuff, so we don't want to be in the middle of fixing up the machine when that happens. And a fun thing you can do, instead of actually interacting with these wheels to turn them, is you can use this sandbag to just turn them a little bit faster. There's no cap on that speed.
С помощью мешка, кстати, быстрее чуть передвигать эти... Не знаю, как называется. Это механизм кручения. В общем-то, все видели. И сразу после нажатия кнопки прыгаем на мешок, чтобы сократить немного времени.
So we can actually cancel this out by just falling into the void real quick. Taking some damage.
Yes, hello, I'm here. I'm trapped, I'm in a tomb.
Вот сейчас мы просто скипнули часть заставок и катсцен, которые должны были проиграться в нормальном варианте, тем, что упали в бездну, и просто триггернули дверь после того, как сюжетный триггер ее разблокировал.
Supposed to not have one here, and it tasks you with going to find one, which sends you down this really long path of going through a maze, dealing with some other survivors of the plane wreckage. Then you go through an area with a ton of monsters, and you have to do a stealth sequence and then a chase sequence, and it's just like 10 minutes of gameplay that we are just simply not gonna visit. We have to make this laser focus a little bit, start up the machine.
В ранах, да. В ранах мы скипаем огромные секвенсы. Ну, кстати, насчет заставки-то вопрос. Я не помню, она относится к тем, которые имеют сюжетный триггер или не относится.
Which means a lot of time passes by doing so. So we're just going to remove the broken battery, slap in one of our own, and now we need to refocus the lasers. And the only reason that I bring that up is because we still have that shadow chasing us. It is still trying to catch up to us, even though we have really outran it with all of this time passing. It's going to show up real soon. To give you some rotates. We got time for like 2 quick donations.
Alrighty, we have $5.55 from Forrest with 2 R's, who says, I choose the sick boost off the rocks and the trolley problem every time. Trolley problem every time. Fantastic job, Blood Thunder, Nerd, and Enigma, and good luck with the rest of the run.
Thank you so much.
And we have $50 from Tim W., who says, I've been watching and donating since classic games done quick. Glad to see the evolution of so many games and speedruns for over so many years. Keep up the great work on the way to $1 million.
Thank you so much. So the shadow is showing up, this gooey flesh stuff. And it's actually going to
появляется тень, наносит вот эту вот странную жижицу на пол, и портал срабатывает не так, как мы хотели.
Not physically, although that does happen too, but just from a plot perspective. If you've never like really understood the plot points of any of the games, there's some really great lore explained videos out there that really go in depth, and it's pretty brutal. So I'm curious to see how dark they go for the bunker here soon. We're gonna do a quick clip out here. So this is the theater. What's supposed to happen is Tassie finds out that her unborn child also is inflicted with the same disease that's been going around, which kind of marks it for death.
В общем-то, здесь по сюжету мы узнаем о том, что наш ребенок тоже заражен этой непонятной болезнью.
And it's this Vitae energy stuff, which is also what's powering the jars, the little batteries we have with us, and it's like a life source. What she doesn't say until like later on in this map is that life force is extracted from torturing people and torturing them quite a lot. So it's not something.
Сюжетный поворот из первой части о том, что лекарство добывается путем пытки людей.
Get a train started so we can continue our journey through. We're going to clip through this window real fast. Now this one's a little bit devious because if we just run out into this next room, it's going to connect to the middle of the like room right there, and it's going to trigger a monster known as a wraith to spawn in, which is a very scary monster for sure. It's a kind of the upgraded ghoul, so we need to be fast enough to throw this into the next room. It's still going to have this monster spawn in. But by breaking the line of sight on the pylon from the center of the room, we can actually pick it up. You usually have to wait like 15 seconds or so. So we break out of the Wraith's grasp, and we can go on with our lives. Power up the machine. And now this clip here is my least favorite in the game. It like hardly ever works.
Вот сейчас вот сложный клип будет.
We will just run down the stairs. But for whatever reason, it's quite tricky to pull off. All right, give it like 2 more. Let's see what we can do. All right, we will instead just run on down.
Не получилось, поэтому бежим
This is
казуальненько.
a whole section that's set up so you can start your first torture session. Once again, not quite a pleasant thing. Luckily, we don't actually have to do it. So coming up is the dreaded auto-scroller. We have a way of breaking out of it, but we can also break out of it at the start. This is more for fun. This doesn't actually save any time, but if you stand right here,
Вот здесь раннер встает
damage trigger.
в отдельное место, чтобы просто пофлексить. В этом нет никакого смысла. Вот буквально никакого смысла. Времени экономит, но забавно выглядит.
Like I said, we can break out of this auto-scroller, which normally you just wait through a couple of minutes of waiting, and then a stealth segment, and your lantern gets broken, and it's just not stuff we want to do. We have to wait for a very specific moment on the ride. So we're going to line up using like this little thing on the floor. Unfortunately, because it's moving, it's also going to move us, so we have to keep updating. And our goal is to jump over this wall by using a crouch jump at the very apex of an elevator that's going up.
Will I lose you now?
So we have this.
As I lost this? Oh God, little
Good time for more donations.
you can't leave.
Alrighty, we got $50 from DJ Rebirth, who says donating to an amazing cause during Blood Thunder's gravity-defying speed run. Also, this game's name is absolutely fantastic. Cheers to charity.
I wonder why he likes the name.
I was wondering that too. We have $25 from Lee, who says, thank you for all the help. Keep up the good work and happy Amnesia.
So we're about to be at the
Хорошая
bottom of
шутка,
the elevator,
кстати.
lining up our foot with that indicator. Now we're going to wait for 3 blue lights to pass. That's a good time for a quick save, because you only get 1 shot at this. Technically, there's a different spot later on you can jump out, but it's not one we want to use, so just to be a little safe. It's at just the right time. We got to crouch and jump. We use a single bind for both of those, so we can crouch jump perfectly. Don't go too far. We just want to land on the outside here. There's a lot of room, surprisingly. If I take my hands off the mouse and keyboard, when the cart moves around, you can see her like just shuffle around. And it's always scary. I always think she's going to fall off, but she's like yet to do it. Super, super scary. Anyways, to save a little bit more time, we're going to try to get to the front of this train car by jumping over to this.
Машина для свиней все еще... Ну, не знаю, лучше ли название серии, но точно отлично.
There's supposed to be like a gotcha moment where like a portal shows up and it's like, oh, I can go through there. It's gonna make me, it's gonna get us home, but it goes speeding off. Unfortunately, that's not even a real rift. We can't take it out. It's just like a PNG over there. So we're gonna grab one of these jiggly rocks and make our way once again to the end of the map. Kind of like the map earlier, we're gonna bypass a lot of triggers we're supposed to hit. So there is some problems with things not loading in properly at the end. But one thing that is loaded in right now are these blue tubes of flowing energy. This is all the Vitae energy from people being harvested. Because the Empress also has the disease. She uses that to basically ward it off and keep herself alive. And she needs a ton of it because it's diminishing returns. So as we kind of see in the next map, she has a lot of people being tortured on a 24/7 cycle. You can see our own player model kind of went away there. There's a door that we need to open, but there's 2 rocks blocking the door that we need to move. So we've got to find those, open the door, slip behind it, and click on the one back there.
Этот транс сам по себе нет смысла объяснять, потому что здесь все скипы делаются повторением того, что делает раннер, из-за того, что здесь нет ничего уникального. Это все использование одной и той же механики. Вот здесь у меня, кстати, не удалось найти какой-либо информации или даже версии, почему так происходит. Почему предметы заставляют клипаться. Ну, скорее всего, это наложение этих хитбоксов друг на друга так влияет на игру.
Make them forget all that and start the torture anew. So once again, super dark. Not the nicest people. So once again, we're not supposed to have our lantern. We're not going to use it here, but we did keep it through the last map because we didn't fall down to the part where it breaks, which is pretty nice to have. So this pot lid's not, because it is pretty small and pretty thin, it is easy to lose and also very hard to stand on. So we're going to try this clip again, pull it through the wall. The one thing about props is you don't want to go too far away from the map. So if I go up too high here, I get too much height. I will get far enough away from the map that it unloads the props to save on resources, as games tend to do. But I need a lot of height for this map as well. So there's a very thin section that I'm trying to hit as I run through here. So once again, you can see all those pods just kind of thrown around the place, and I'm sure there's thousands more throughout the other world. We're going to try to get as much height as we can. This is a huge stealth segment that involves a lot of wraiths. Almost there. So I can actually go up right there. You see the prop deload, but I got right where I need to go. So you really don't have a lot of room to work with. We're going to hit the staircase and go into our third dream sequence. This one's a little bit more broken than the two before. And at this point in the game and the story, Tassie is so pregnant that she can no longer jump, which, you know, is fair. We're just going to throw this door into oblivion. But it makes doing these prop flies much harder, because a very easy way to gain height with prop flying is to just jump. And if you want to lose height, you crouch. And we want a lot of height here, so it's very, very tricky. We're going to try to get on top of this rocking horse. And we're just going to pull, using our mouse wheel, the prop towards us, and we're going to fly way off into the sky. We're looking for an invisible pocket of water that we don't have a great setup for finding. If we get close enough, we can actually hear the running water, but we just want to keep going up, trying not to fall. Okay. Found it pretty quick. So we got this like weird swimming animation, and then we're out of the dream sequence.
Yeah, if you miss that water, it's pretty hard to recover from it.
Yeah, you can't just fall all the way back down, but then you've wasted time doing the trick, and then you have to go through the normal way of that level. Coming up is the hardest and sketchiest prop fly in the game, and probably the entire Frictional Games catalog. The prop is not super great. We can't jump, and we need a lot of height. So we've actually made it to the mountain village. If we continue up this path, we would enter it. But there's a long radio message. There's flashbacks. There's scripted parts where she like falls down. It is super slow and is not worth going through, so we're going to try to skip all that.
Начинается интересный скип, в который мы в котором мы должны обойти сюжетные триггеры, которые заставляют нашу героиню падать, спотыкаться и страдать с помощью полета. Обожаю этот ран, потому что в нем вообще нет никакой базовой игры. Все, что бесит тебя при казуальном прохождении... Ну, если вы хотите перепройти эту часть Амнезии, вы встретитесь с тем, что называется «слишком много заставок, я не хочу это смотреть». И вот здесь это исправляется. Взял и пробежал игру. Идеально. У первой части, кстати, нет особо такой проблемы, потому что там нет практически постановки, заставок и прочего. Там в основном сквозной геймплей. Вот здесь вот много заставок, постановки и прочего. Что тоже немного рушит, по мне, так атмосферу из-за того, что тебя выдергивают и как бы говорят, ты сюжетный персонаж, ты неуязвим.
Vice versa, one tick out, one tick in, and it tends to boost you up. But we've made it far enough onto the map that we can just go around so the more scenic route. If you're lucky enough to go all over these rocks, you save a little bit more time, but it's still so much faster than going through the actual village. And all this smoke is the village like being destroyed and on fire, and you can kind of see it over there to the right. We're gonna make a quick sacrifice to the giant crater gods And just get rid of this thing over here. Oh, make sure it actually goes in. Okay, you don't want to fall down there. It's not a good place to be. So the way this
How
map
will we
ends,
stay hydrated?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Find some Red Bull. The way this map ends is actually like on a little cutscene. To activate that cutscene, you need an NPC to come chasing after you. It's not something you just click on a door. Luckily, there's a trigger right over here, so we don't have to go through a whole part inside the village that we can hit. And if you're wondering how we're going to get back in bounds, we can just walk right through this rock. We should have the NPC come chase after us. Yet again, another survivor from the Cassandra plane crash that you're supposed to have just dealt with a pretty lengthy cutscene in the village. But we get saved by a doctor, you know? Doctors are pretty cool. They might even be cool enough to raise some money for. So if you're like, wow, I too want to help doctors save other people, then...
Инстинктивно на своем ребенке. Очень близко к этому, кстати, да. Там очень близко, по сути.
Now, despite having said that, he is one of the creepiest doctors I've ever seen. And I want to give a shout out to Frictional. I gave him a shout out earlier, but shout out to them for making us sit through this upcoming part every single run. It's at the very start of the map, so there's like no hope that we can actually skip it through gameplay. We can't prop fly, prop clip past it. But you know, you may realize what happens after you're pregnant for 9 months. You do have to go through a little bit of a birthing scene. Don't worry, nothing really gets shown. There's a little bit of blood, but if you're uncomfortable with that, this is over in about 2 minutes. There are like 3 sequences we have to do here where you're supposed to push. You can hold down forward to push. It doesn't really do anything, doesn't speed it up, but after every one of those segments, you just have to look at him. He's super creepy. I mean, just look at him. But yeah, you just have to look at him, focus, and then it'll progress to the next one. So while this is going on and we're having fun with this, you got time for donations.
We got $50 from Zoe, who says, late night donation from the audience. Let's go, SGDQ hype. Oh yeah, they still got it this late. We got $51 from Tech Kyle, who says, this one goes out to the midnight audience, runners, and GDQ crew. Thanks for keeping the party going, less than 3. Right on, we'll keep it going all night.
Got time for some more?
Okay. Now, this is, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, this is a dad joke.
Oh, boy.
But what makes it better is that it's an anonymous $1,000 donation. Anonymous says, dad joke, how many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb? 2. 1 to paint the clocks green, and another to put the giraffe in the bathtub.
It was a dad joke, but I feel like in honor of this game, we should call it a mom joke.
I agree. Thank you, Anonymous, for the $1,000. Thank you.
Incredible. Another incredible thing is the miracle of life. So,
Поздравляю, заставка с рождением.
The doctor has kind of clued into
Да,
this
да,
part
да,
of the
да.
survivors.
Хорошее
He
сравнение.
knows what Tassie's decision for the trolley problem was earlier, and he was not a fan of that like many others weren't. And he realizes this is an opportunity to save himself by taking the child and running away to the Empress. But he was lucky enough to put her pants back on, so he's not all bad, I guess. He's also going to take the amulet, so we can't traverse worlds either.
I must do what you would not. If we are to be cured against our lives, what is one child?
Fucking dare!
So Tassie, being the mom that she is, goes absolute berserk, goes Hulk mode, starts ripping out of this, and she's going to go to hell and back, to the ends of the earth, to get her child. She lost one. She's not about to lose the second.
Stop you! Give her back to me!
And this doctor's not good at getting away, I can tell you that. He's trying his hardest, but it's just not good enough. So we're going to chase him through the desert. And now I don't have a kid of my own. I'm not a parent.
Не,
May not be
не.
for some time, but
Она
I do have a
связана с
cat that I
тем...
love very
Ну как,
much, though
заставка
I'm
с родами
super
является
honored
заставкой
to
новой
be
главы. То есть мы должны триггернуть
you know, if you follow me on Twitter,
заставку
you get some
условного
pictures of them.
главы,
So
сегмента, чтобы
I would do
продвинуться дальше, потому
pretty
что
much
не
anything for them
прогружаются
as well. I can
следующие
understand if your task is
скрипты,
heavy.
объекты и текстуры.
You know, shout out
Она
to
является
Emily.
именно
Love her very much.
следующим
She does
триггером
a lot
нашего
for me,
движения по
continues to
триггерам.
do a lot for me. Watches like pretty much all of my runs. I don't know if she stayed up for this one. It is quite late at night, but pretty much every other GDQ run I've done, and I've done a handful of them. She's always been there, been supportive. So much love to her. So yeah, the doctor's is slowly running away, and we're chasing him through this sandstorm. We got time for a couple more donations as we chase him through here.
All right, we got $20 from Queen Bee, who says, "Look, it's Blood Thunder. I managed to stay awake long enough to donate. Yay! Okay, good night." We have $5 from Dad, who says, "When does a duck wake up? At the quack of dawn."
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, we've opened that gate. We had $10 from Call Me Cade, who says, "Why did the old man fall down the well? He couldn't see that well."
Probably got time for like one more.
All right. Speaking of the Tears of the Kingdom tax, that's also going on. We have $100 from Flautist, who says, "Paying up my Tears of the Kingdom tax now that I've gotten paid. Thank you for the entertaining week and all the cooking all the chefs have been doing." That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, one quick thing. You might have noticed as he was going through this map that he hit a few flashbacks. You can occasionally have a thing happen where, for some reason, the flashbacks just don't play and it skips.
Yeah, there's also like a little trick we did right there with the lantern pulling it out. You're not supposed to have it, so if you try to hit your lantern button, it actually says, "Oh, if only I still had that lantern." And there's a flashback that plays right about in that area, which is a little bit longer. It's not too long. And by pulling out the lantern, you override that dialogue and skip it a little bit sooner. But this is the Tower of the Empress. This is where she resides. Kind of the last section of the game. It is also a very, very tall vertical level. So the doctor is going to take an elevator up, and typically you're supposed to repair the other one and chase them up that way. We're going to try to go through this wall.
Ой, сейчас лучший секвенс в игре будет сломан.
Current patch of the game, down patch, it's a little tricky, but we got out quickly. We're going to grab this metal grate, yank it up through the floor, and we're going to start.
Потому что мы кидаем вот эту вот клеточку и летим. Блин, как же мне это нравится.
We're just gonna go way up here in the sky. I need to make sure I don't unload this prop or fall off, and I also don't want to hit my head on the upper level.
Сейчас очень важно долететь на такую высоту, которая не вызовет выгрузку из памяти игры вот этого вот объекта.
There is a backup if I happen to fall off or it unloads or if the grate got stuck on the floor. It isn't too much slower because it is such a vertical level. Fixing the elevator is not that much slower. The old route wasn't too crazy different in terms of speed.
Хочу заметить то, что починить лифт не намного как бы дольше по сравнению с тем, что он делает сейчас. Это просто выглядит забавнее.
Yeah, if you get this far, this is really the last trick that you have to do. So if you're on PB base or something and you get all the way up here and you fall off and you lose all that time, it's pretty devastating. So this is where the Doctor and the Empress are, and you're supposed to go.
Вот сейчас он отмечает, что когда ты хочешь пойти на personal best, на лучший личный результат или VR, очень обидно зафейлить этот трюк, потому что все время, которое ты потратил до этого, уже становится бесполезным. 5%.
Through that gate is where the Empress resides and all of that, but we're just going to go ahead and plug in one of the batteries. Hit the teleporter. And once again, we're not supposed to have the lantern here, so some fun stuff happens when we load into the next map. You're supposed to, if you've gotten this far, to get another battery. You're supposed to have
Сейчас важный момент, что у нас нет фонаря. Мы не должны иметь фонарь в этой главе, но поскольку мы пролетели триггер, который забирает у нас фонарик есть.
Supposed to be looking down at your baby, but we just have a lantern.
И знаете, в чем ирония? В том, что Фонарь заменяет нам
So once we
ребенка.
break through this wall, we are done with the game. But have no fear, we do save our children in the end.
Игра не видит отличия между этими объектами.
We save the baby, and all is right in the world.
Мы спасли нашего драгоценного ребенка.
Shouts to Nerd Squared for joining me.
Видите, он аж материализовался из фонаря.
Great to have you on. Sadly,
Это лучшая часть, мне кажется, в ране.
thank you
Когда ребенок появляется.
for hosting the
Yeah, no
run,
problem.
for all those great, wonderful red comments.
You are very welcome.
Кстати, сейчас вы увидите интересный момент. Если бы, ну как, вот в этой концовке финал зависит от того, умирали ли мы в ходе прохождения или нет. Если мы умирали, мы бы здесь оказались в форме гуля. Если мы не умирали, то мы здесь окажемся в форме человека.
Once I get back home, that is the big